Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. On today's video, I'm bringing you the newest release from Banner watches. This is called the Adroit GMT. Now, I'm probably one of the last people to review this watch. It's been reviewed by so many different channels. I've had it sitting here for a fair few weeks, but I've mentioned on previous videos that I am a bit busy. So there's a lot of watches that are just staying there and I'm just getting around to doing them. But I'm glad I'm doing this review when I am doing it. Doing the review, the research, making my notes, etc., giving this watch a full once over, this watch left me massively confused. This is a very confusing watch to the point it had me thinking, nah, this can't be right. Surely this is either a trick or they've sent me the wrong watch, or I don't know, this is a failed prototype, because there's that many things wrong with it in my opinion. Now don't get me wrong, Banner, I reviewed two of the watches at the same time. I think it was at the back end of last year. I reviewed the parking master or the parking meter, and I failed to remember the name of the field watch, you know, the oversized 43-44mm one. Now those watches, design language was clear, present, the design was good, the functionality was good, it was present, you know, quite popular as well. I think the parking meter, they sold out multiple times over. Now this particular one is very different, and I don't know how it made it out to us, to be honest. So allow me to explain myself. Let's start off by specifications first and foremost. So what you see in front of you essentially is a dive watch, right? With a GMT function. As I said before, with the NH34 coming out, it's led to an influx of GMT watches within the current market, both from micro brands, Aliexpress brands, and of course the mainstream brands. But this is where that dive watch association identification does stop. When we look at the specifications, this watch is quite different, and I don't understand for the life of me why it is that case. So we do have a flat bevel edge sapphire crystal, which is pretty normal. We've got a full steel bezel. This is where it changes slightly. The bezel actually has a 40 click bi-directional rotation, which isn't too bad. We've seen dive watches with this functionality before. Now, in terms of the water resistance specs, you've got 100 meters of water resistance, which, okay, I've seen it on skin divers, again, not a problem. But then we move on to the rest of the watch and we find out, first and foremost, the crown. It's not a screw down crown, it's a push-pull crown. And then when we check out the bracelet, which is quite funky, I do like it, it's very different. It's got a butterfly clasp, so I don't know what's actually going on here. So this is where, doing my research and looking at this watch, I thought, what is all this about? Because it's clearly a sports watch on paper, but it identifies as a dive watch, but it lacks the crucial elements of a dive watch. So why not start off with a GMT sports watch? There's loads of those around, which I think would really have helped this watch. So it's a total loss for me, because you know, I thought Banner was quite clear in the previous watches they produced. And you know, Banner are probably going to see this review, so you know, and anyone who's owned this watch, don't take my words offensive. You got to remember, as a watch reviewer, I do have to have my own opinion as well, and the opinion may not be good. Let me actually tell you why I'm even more frustrated, or just, as I said, the word of this video is confused, because the watch actually looks okay, at least when it comes to the case. So as I got this on wrist and I had a look at this case, I really liked it. Okay, the case is actually built really well. We can see the build quality is still present from Banner's previous watches and to this model. They've definitely carried that through. The brushing on that bezel is fantastic. It's circular brushed, and I don't believe it's an insert. I couldn't see a joining line or, you know, attachment piece. I think it's a full solid piece, which is nice. You've got some really nice cutouts there, some diamond scalloping there. You've got beautiful transitions from brushing to the polished edge back to some sandblasting on the side of the bezel. So excellent attention to detail, you know, great quality on that bezel. Moving on to the case, you've got that nod to Invicta watches, good for them. Nice soft bead blasting on the side of the case. And then you've got your lug tips, which are done beautifully. Again, that polished bevel, that slight sandblasting feature, matching the end link there. Look at the end links, really well fitted. And yeah, that whole, you know, transition and the brushing and the polishing carries on throughout the whole case. It's a very smooth case, there's no sharp edges, and it is built exceptionally well. Even the crown, for that matter, is a nice and chunky 6.8mm in diameter. You've got your Banner logo beautifully pressed in there or engraved. you know, the case back. Let's have a quick look. It is the exhibition style case back. You can even see the logo on the back of the rotor, and a very nice case back as well. It's been cut out, giving you a gear or a cog pattern. So the build quality is present, right? Move on. If you look at the bracelet also, it's a, well, kind of a H-link bracelet, but you've got these two polished you know, inner links, giving you multiple links, which are all solid links. You've even got quick release bars on the end links. But we move down and then we find a decent-ish built butterfly clasp, which honestly I just can't get. A dive watch with the butterfly clasp, that was the first thing that put me off, but I don't know, you know, I'm a bit speechless. But why would you come out with this? Moving on back to the build quality, as I said, it is there. There's lots of nice things about this. The case for me, it is actually quite good. It looks great on wrist. It's got great dimensions as well, great proportions. You've got a 40mm case diameter, 13mm thick, 46.5mm on the lug to lug, with a 20mm lug width. So that begs the question: is you've got dive watch dimensions, dive watch looks, but you're lacking dive watch functionality. You could have gone for a sports watch, cut that down slightly, and totally saved yourself a watch, in all honesty. Now, looking at the dial, smaller. Now, looking at the dial, not so bad. You do have a sandwich dial. It's got a sandblasted texture. You've got clear white printed text. The logo just below the 12 that we've seen on the previous watches. You've got a rather plain handset. It is also sandblasted to kind of keep up with the whole sandblasted nature of the entire watch. But then again, it goes a bit wrong here with the color choice, in my opinion anyway. They state they've got red lume, and it doesn't look red at all. It's more of a fluorescent pink. It's one of the most annoying pinks you can have. So the second hand is like a 6.2 mass, but even the tip of the GMT and the pip at the 12, it is very bright pink. It's not the red that I'd expect to see on a watch that says they use red. It's totally off. But then you've got color matched date wheel just after the 4 p.m. position, just between 4 and 5. So there's an array of things which are slightly mismatched in my opinion. I gotta say I'm not a fan of this watch, but I've tried to do it justice, because I can tell you it's built well, which makes it a bigger shame or a bigger problem why there's so many things off about it. And don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not having a go at Van Banner. I'm not just tearing them apart. I'm trying to kind of give you a overall genuine opinion on this watch. I truly don't understand the design or why this watch even exists, which is why at one point I did think, is this a bit of a joke? Because I don't understand why this would happen. Now let's look at some other functionality tests on this. So let's check the bezel for one, and this is another huge put off for me, but let's go ahead, check it out. Yeah, so this bezel is totally off. I'm hoping this is a one-off, or this is just a bad watch they sent me. If anybody has bought one, let me know, guys. How does it sound? Because this one does not work. It's getting stuck. It's very difficult to rotate. It's not smooth at all. It's not a nice experience. It's like you're having to put up a fight with the bezel to get to rotate. Yes, it is solid. There's no play in it, but there's also not that much movement in it. It's yeah, a bit difficult to rotate, and it's not a nice feeling at all. But Van Banner claim it to have 48 exceptionally, you know, well built kind of rotations or clicks. It's not the case, unfortunately, guys. It's not the case. Yeah, it just adds to the general mess that we have going on. But this watch has some interesting lume. Let's see if the lume does save this watch at all. Now, regarding the lume, it is definitely very interesting. You've got black numerals applied to the bezel insert, which are lume. So Van Banner state that this is Japanese lume. So you've got red lume where the pink pip is at the 12, and that is a very dull glow. I don't expect that to be super bright, you know, because of the way the lume has been applied. So, but you get very dull, deep green lume from the bezel insert. You do have a bit of red lume from the pip at 12 o'clock, but the dial is really well illuminated. They say it's C3 Super Luminova, but under the camera light it's coming up closer to BGW9, but it is very solid. The hour markers are well lit up. Also the handset and that GMT hand, you can see everything very brilliantly. And I've got no doubt the lume is really good on the dial and the handset, and it should last quite a while. The bezel insert, I don't think it lasts that long, but you know, it's there and it's something nice to look at. So I think the loom is the only savior of this watch. As I said, the build quality is there. It's on some parts really well made, exceptional at some points. And yeah, but the function of the bezel, the crown not being screwed down, the butterfly clasp, this whole misidentification. You know, the worst part is the actual model number. The model number is VBAD211. Come on, guys, have mercy on us watch reviewers. You know, we try to give everybody a fair chance. We try to be fair in our reviews and unbiased, but when you've got watch like this with so many things off and such a mismatch, and then your model number is VBAD211, what can we do? This watch is very confusing to me. So, you know, it's not something which I can kind of stand behind or recommend guys to buy it. If you like it, you know, disregard everything I'm saying. Then that's just the whole point of these watches, right? If you really do like something and you're not fussed about what it's meant to be, you just like how it looks, then by all means go for it. But I think for the price they're asking as well, 230, 240 pound, it is well priced, but there's loads of other options you can get which are serious watches, right? In that sense, I would have quite a few problems wearing this because, as I said, there's so many things which are throwing me off. And in fact, I would like Van Banner to revisit this, right? Add in a screw down crown, add in a proper clasp, change the pink on the dial, and you've got yourself a pretty decent dive watch. You know, there's no need for, I think, trying to be too outside the box where, you know, the box is no longer in sight and you're in a totally different box. That's not the point that they need to look at. You know, I get it, designing is not the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, guys, baffled. That's all I gotta say. So that's it for me today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Actually, you know, I want to gauge your opinion. Am I just having a bad day? Am I being a bit of a knob, or have I got a point? Right? Are these things just standing out to me, or do you guys see what I'm seeing? Point to Van Banner, guys. You can do so much better. Let's not try to think too far outside the box. As I said, let's hone it in a bit and let's come back to some functionality and, of course, your usual great designs. So that's it from me. I'll see you on the next video.